나임도 지금 소소랑 있는 곳인데 로아스 비슷하지라 또 용화다 용화나 조금 선택이 용화된 그 뭐는 잡지 너무 좋지.
Good morning. Thank you for joining me and in this space. See you all. Said this before, but let me just repeat and awfully important. And we're going to do today's practice discussion. And but first of all, and we need practice meditation. And meditation, as I said, and again and again, it is about the contemplation, meaning is about the train yourself and to reach the states or emerge to the point where you can experience the state of single-mindedness, okay, or one-pointedness, a mind of one-pointedness. So that's the essence of the meditation. In order to reach this one-pointedness of the mind, or the state of the one-pointedness of mind, the approach or the possible methodology you can use, the technique you rely on, it could be mantra. In this case, we're going to recite in the Aryantara's mantra, or other way or technique is you can rely on the sacred image of the deity, the Aryantara herself. So either way, you want to recite in, take the recitation of the Aryantara mantra as the technique and to achieve or to the single pointedness of the mind, or the state of a single pointedness of mind, or you want to by meditate or bring all your attention to the sacred image of Aryantara. Either way, and just remember that the meditation has to be something that you must try to bring your mind, your verbal functionality, or your speech and your body. So your body, speech, mind has to be and in a great, perfect state of union, right? And in the state of sameness or the single flavor, the state of a single flavor. And this is because in general, our body seems kind of doing one thing, and the speech is fell on another sort of trap, or trapped into different aspect of our existence, and our mind, and meanwhile, seems also not exactly be with the body and the way we are articulating or saying something. So therefore, in order to, this is of course is a serious problem. In order to overcome this disintegration, so or the state of the disharmony, and by the means of mantra recitation and or the meditation on the Aryantara. So there is we can make it possible that our body, speech, and mind, all of them are in one place, and are perfectly in a greater perfect union. And so, in other words, and mantra recitation, and or by meditating on the sacred image of Aryantara, we are primarily want to give the task, a specific work, and to our body, and meaning that we have to bring our body and in a place, make it make sure our body is in place, and our verbal or speech also in a place, and finally, and most importantly, that our mind exactly and perfectly doing or taking the task of that meditation of sacred image or the recitation of the mantra itself. So this way we can do all the things once at one in the single moment we can achieve all the goals. So the purpose of course and this practice is to accumulate merits, and that helps you to overcome all the sufferings, in particular, like protect you by accumulating merits and protect you from the being affected by this terrible pandemic is still going on. And but as a part of our Bodhisattva practice, and so through the recitation, mantra recitation and meditation on sacred image of Aryatara, we can dedicate all the merits that we accumulated and to the all sentient beings in general, and particularly those who are suffered and or under the conditions in which may cause them suffering or the stressful due to the COVID-19 pandemic.
Tanyo la never John Beje Shisham Medom Zhou Lang Zhe Nir De Jiang De Sang Ye Shang De Me De Bao Yi Ru Ge Nan Da Shang La Zhu Ber Shou Yi Dang Ge Ra Na Ma Zhang Ya Da Ya Me.
I take refuge in the Guru. I take refuge in the Buddha. I take refuge in the Dharma. I take refuge in the Sangha. From now until my enlightenment, I take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. And by the merit created in this practice, may I attain the state of Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. May all sentient beings enjoy happiness and causes. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and causes. May all sentient beings never be separated from joyful bliss. May all sentient beings embody equanimity, feel bias, attachment, and anger. This ground, anointed with perfume, strewn with flowers, Mount Meru, encircled by the four continents, surmounted by the sun and the moon, I visualize this Buddha feel and offer it. May all living beings enjoy the pure land. Idam Ururana Kameyadaya
Yende ma la mo ro ma la sa sa mo
Chaza Ruma Dare Pamo
te da ra ye je gun se ma te le do na tam je te ma so ye ke chen la ra do da re
Dore Soha
da re so 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 Danare dore soha Inyerde da jizan roman de jirani roa chi jama de vati sala kubur sho senche na pa chenye pa nyede nale Rui nane mali va tod shungwa me bar sho manamata tang damba tang sanga de jo drabo sho kanro senbola Anje semdang denjere ju nimo de la chan de la nimo konyang de la shonyang semdang de la konjo senji zha shi sho. Ya, da ka zeng ge chu de ma ru ra.
So let's continue where we left last time.
Da nga zu chi tang ni nga zu chang ma le dewa do pa dang ding men do ba chi pa re da. Da dewa yong sa ta ding le yong sa de kang de da. Rang tang jen se da no tang chil se ni li yong da ka zeng ma nga zu ji 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 den ji ji sem jin na ni pan du ka ri ji le ji dang do de xie ba re. Da da de no ji ji den na ni ka de ji ne ji 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 go dang do da de xie go re. De sa da de de yong sa de ji ji sem ji da no ji ji den ni la de ni yong go za ne. nga zu ma tak be shang de ka yong zu ma tak be shang ji li ma tak ba yong zu de nga zu no ji ji den de ma tak be shang chang de ding yong san den cha de sem gi ngong de de ba yong su ta yong su de no ji ji den de ta be shang ta pa ge lo de sa da ne zo ne rang sem ge ka la de ni yong go za de xie wo si ta ni wa de no ji ji den no ji no ka ni wa no ji
Need to draw well, just a quick reminder. We've been we are in our basic condition is that we want to be happy and we do not want to suffer. So wish to be happy and do not want suffering is our basic inclination, and that's our condition. In the light of this basic reality, and we know that the happiness that we wanted and the suffering that we do not want is related to two different sources. One is the sentient being or living being. Another is the environment in which all living beings are dwelling. So because our happiness is related to the sentient being and the very physical environment that they make home of, so therefore we needed to bring them in the our practice in order to achieve, we have to remind ourselves that in order to achieve our goal of obtain happiness and avoid the suffering, we must do something about set up or find a proper way in it to treat with the sentient being and the physical world. So we have finished with discussions about the way how we deal with or treat the sentient beings, the dweller, and now we are working on and we are discussing about how to deal with, how to treat the physical environment that we use. Essentially, we know that our world and the physical environment in which we live is the manifestation. Or is the manifestation of our impure mind. Because our mind is impure, as a condemning is in the state of condemnation. So therefore, from this state of impure mind, contaminated mind, whatever we see around us also would be impure and imperfect and not the ideal world. So we must know that this is the reality, this is the reason, and once we understand that this is the reason and this is a reality, then we need to take the Dharma practice aimed to purify our mind and free our mind, mental stream or mind from the obstructions of the disturbing emotions and and also the karma. So once we purify our mind, then whatever we see, the physical environment will be match the state of our mind or the quality of our mind. Similarly, once we be able to purify our mind, free our mind from the disturbing emotions and the karma, and then all sentient beings, wherever we see or we run into, will be equally emerge the state of our pure mind.
lengi tsinuz shokchin jiktengi kam lit lenyong ki kiwa ma tagpi jiktengi kam tamchil tagpi shangi kam shartag tinjirwar samos tehtar dikkin tamchil rangla lenchang degi tamchil janla tangwi guni sham nyangji jangwi chindana gongzo ki chishi shawa shawi songsozi de tawo jorsil de kani shil shinazi pongbo she norzangi number tharwali yawi dingal dak roi dingal dagnil la yarwarna yarwar mizi dagnil roa kinki nyor sowi lisin jers shitang choki chopi molam lechang semnyil tandro shinji dingal tang may nenam satang aminsong roi dingal pongbo taiwa dagla bakir roa dewarshong shitang shamba chojinki molam lechang sarsi manchil normal yanchitang jiktin changsi mepa tamchiki satang thaman 소시 첨부소 대월 질치 등을 덕기랑 시당 토혼 르듭기정 더라 데이터 드 민정 덕기 말리 들 민쇼 시당 셔왈리정 더통 젠트 냠바당 더통 젠트 지워기 시당 영일 조 당일 교전 라야 연든 잠출 시시니 당진 용스 들어왔던 잔랑 완 곰버샤 시당 강시 다당 잔남네 뉴트 쇼퍼 도파티 다당 잔트 냠바당 다당 잔트 지와당 성위담바 잡버샤 시당 다디 잔키 딩을딱 양딱 제어 마저나 성지 니트 문저테 크로난 데와 메일스니 What about the laws on
On your copy in translation 74, and taking unsatisfactoriness from the environment which beings inhabit. Think that all the impure realms within the 10 directions, which are the products of actions and disturbing emotions, are transformed into pure world. Bishi Shaoba remarked that this doctrine of training in love and compassion by way of taking all sufferings and their origins upon yourself and providing others with every happiness and virtues is a practice for banishing fear. Should you wonder about of these practices, they can be traced to the biography of Manibhadra in the Buddha Avantam Saka Sutra, which says, imagine transforming the suffering of the sentient beings onto yourself and transforming the self into the body that sustains them. The prayers of supreme conduct also say, may all the heaps of sufferings of beings, the sufferings of hell beings, animals, and spirits, those of human beings, gods, and anti-gods, fall on me, and may they find bliss. Moreover, the prayers for granting supreme love says, may the gods, anti-gods, and the great serpents of all the immutable world from the peak of existence above the hell without respite below, find happiness as I take on their suffering. The Master Nagarjuna says, may their own awesome deeds bear fruits for me, and may my virtues bear fruits for them. Shantideva says, equalize yourself and others, then exchange yourself with others. And having seen the faults of self-centeredness and the ocean of good in concern for others, I shall completely give up all selfishness and accustom myself to accepting others. And whoever is keen to give a swift protection to both himself and others should practice the sublime secret of equalizing and exchange self and others. And if you do not actually exchange your happiness for the suffering of others, you shall become enlightened. And no one finds your joy in the cyclic existence. And therefore, in order to allow harm to yourself and pacify the pains of others, offer yourself in the service of others and protect them as you would do yourself. And whatever the agony of the sentient beings may be, may they all reckon on me alone.
다 티커 쓰고즈나 소네 노진 직들라 때니 아니 노진 직들라 꼼조 가르서 섬진 탐질라 레키던 등의 용사 노진 직들라 때니 용고 자 노진지 마딱베 상도 참바 딱베 상도 파 곰지니 뭐 같은지 지고 그래서 tinsana 안 마딱베 상 딱베 상도 곰니 곰용으로 소 가르진다 로아를 찍거니 아니 사이니 뭐거니 양컴 바진 로이 니트 탐질라 로드 찍니 탐질라 samchini o ten roan net thamchila ni roan da thamchani rang li ki number mambe gane ta nang yong ro te chang aju bana ta nang ngarang zo thongchi nongji ju bi ngang jikten di gang na yu jo ana pena 다 통증하러 미그 직든 통이 롱쇼바데 통이 롱쇼바데 sem진도로도 종통 두고 말 베나 르덕 짜사야 동 전증기 샤사야 코로니 투모 많이 빌리 로가 또 인도 남롱디가는 냠데키고 지고 자롱니 고르데 코니 롱쇼 투모 많이 말 그래서 가능서 노지 직든데 니강라 키위 미카실라 딱비상 나와도 pe dekki kishang tende nangyo me khashila pe matak besang dingal kini tende nangyo te so le matak pe ngyo te jada ne gom jar so ane tambo so semje thamjil matak pe shang te thongwi dingal de thamchi pa tak pe shang te jesong samje ne tak pe shang te jer ngor so ti ngala ane shamtang nyang ji gom ne tela newi roa te thamchi dewa tang dambri chi dingal tang tawar chi dingal tang tawi ngor so rong dewa ta dayang gor te ja sham nyang ji yote ko kangal ta ngazoina 이빠지게 공감한다고 그랬어. 지금 야장으로 지금 막 그냥 우리 등을당 자용으로 대화 당하지 되고 저다 샴냥지인데 그런 냠장 그래서 아니 샴당냥지 그 냥지 고명으로 등을당 자나 선비 상로티 공으로 등을당 자용으로 티 샴바 냥지랑 대화랑 지금 되는 거 어디서 대화도 나 된디게 직든데 탐지 아니 공고로 다 당보 아니 심지 나를 아니라 대화도 받아 등은만도 받지 봐야 심지 탐지량도 지 봐래 삼지 삼동에나 냠바 용을 쓰고 셈나오다 단당 알아서 수중가 당보지네니 다 랍정나 지잠발을 됐어요 삼로동 들어와 어때 때 뭐지라 직바인 바 냠을 써 든디 삼로지는다 참가 아니 랑라 삼로동 바젤라 삼로동 직바 지정 자님 삼로동 특별해서 냠바당 때 고민에 오늘 때또 치리치리 손나 아니 리피고니 파치노 랑세드 시그레니 젠세드 망보레 아니 때자다 랑라 데키 용사테 잔라테니 용고레 다당 알아서 리키 pom보데 때 세기 다 담당 차정 아니 때 마슬 아니 마원은 아무도 성기월 셰발라 성기위 초사회 소는 기초 발듯이 버티고 초소사 때 멍쳐 로아진 잔라테니 용고자 젠세드 같이 모임 하고도 랑리 젠 조즈물 좀 용도 당신 지와세 다 지통고 다당 알아서 소소서 당나지 마티 롱고송나 랑 야워 파도 좀네 젠조르 좀 지정 근데 로금 용그레스 어때서다 저기 침문나 갈수구나 더디 젠지 등도 양도 지오르 마겐다세 아니 다당 알아서 다 대왕도 받던 젠 등을 종나 랑기 쳇도 젠지 등을 종네 배당을 소통데 샤사알서 받다 정말 쳇섬 소수데 기기시더와 어딘디가 다 대원도 받던 젠 등을 우처 섬비 섬로데 양딱 버 지오르 마니와이나 저노테 치치파 지니 등을 랑글 떨라레 대와도 잔라 점바 니와 마송와나 상기니 때문에 저는 상기기 고포 토벌도 받다 따저 용고 용아치 뭐 요마르다 젠기 등을 실제로 코로나가 되어면서 단단 알아서 니급 그 코리는 데란 머신 디나나 니데니랑라 되어요 말이죠. 랑치오르 좀 같은 잔라페 통종동 접치치전 젠기 데치 소소급에 롱초와 가 용어서 랑닐라 가 용고 말이스 데키 용 코로나가 되어요 말이죠. 그러나 미치 공도 소지 젠랑 소지 지진의 같이나 미참아 갈래글에 소소가 니니들 쪼르 자정 자정데 에너지 파마버트 참아 파 기도로 고미 참아 참아 semnangda 데키치 용나 소소대와 도나세데 참아 요르데 대자 강라 데키치 요비 차텔라 아니 랑징 코르용 거 저든 동 장랑양 랑메 촌나 랑메 버 코르세데 코 디탈라 니와드 데키 용 니와드 파솔라 용나 코텔라 랑징 로아츠 디용 거 텔레 랑징 디타네 등을 떼용서 등을 정사도 랑징 맞마 등을 만도 르베 카키도 대자다 코란드나 양 랑게 인라고 말에 도메케 캔탁거리 대자다 젠치오르 좀 봐드나 양지 샴바 양지 세 같이 모레 돈로디나 뜻이 거지
So from the text we just read, really you have I believe a sense of what is really going on, and in our very living reality, and what we need to do about and to fix that very problem. So as we talked a little bit earlier, and also the text mentioned here, essentially, we as a sentient being, we depend upon the physical environment. So the world, or the physical world which we live in, or we depend upon, and is one of the sources from which we experience the sufferings. And so because of this reason, the very physical environment, the world, which makes us feel painful and unsatisfied and misery. So then we have to questioning why this happens. So from a Buddhist perspective, the very physical environment which give us such unfavorable and painful experiences is due to the our very experience of the appearance of the world. Our very experience of the appearance of the world is impure. Right? That's why from this impure appearance or experience of the impure world, then we find all kinds of dissatisfactions and miseries and painful experiences everywhere and all the time. So this impure impression or the appearance or our understanding, rather, the understanding of the world at this point is serve as the causes of one of the causes of or sources of the suffering for us. So therefore, the way from a Dharma point of view, the way to fix the suffering which come from this impure physical world, which is the impure appearance or impure impressions of the senses of this physical world, it has to be done by the practice of a purification of our mind. The practice of the purification of our mind would lead us, right, and to the point that eventually we will, and as the purification of the mind progress, or the progression of the purification of our mind is developing, and then so the way our experience of the world, or the appearance of our appearance of the world, or the impression in which we have about the physical world will also change. It changes the status, or changes how the way it appears to us. So this means that up until the point, or at the moment when we perfect our purification of the mind, we reach the perfection of achieve the great perfection of a purification of our mind, and then from the peak of the existence, that is the heaven and the paradise, all the way and then to the hells, the hell where all the hellish beings are live, would be transformed into or transformed into the pure appearance and pure land. So then whatever we and this very world will be heavenly pleasant or free from all sufferings. So, and we can take this a little bit further and talk about, from the peak of the existence that the celestial world or the beings, and all the way to the hellish being, probably is a bit abstracted to explain this very critical point of a Buddhist idea of the mind, the crucial role that mind plays, meaning that the impure mind that produce the impure appearance of the world, and the pure mind which produce or they give you the pure appearance of the world. So now we can move on and move to a different aspect of this issue. Just let's say here in this very moment, okay, in this very world, and in the place where you are, you and me, we all live. For instance, that it seems that we all share the same world, right? Everything is the same. In fact, if you go more deeper, read this as your own, examine your very from the Buddhist perspective, and you will see actually whatever you see and I see and we all see is the production of our own previous karma, our own previous action. So this very world you appreciate or you disapproval and or you live, whichever how you experience it, actually you are experiencing the very result of the world that you have been accumulated or you have been created and with your own karma, your own action. Okay. So this means in a subtle way, right, whichever you see, you experience, and it may not be exactly the same experience, the same thing seen by or perceived by a person next to you or other ones. Right? And so you can say, oh, I see it. Yes, other might maybe say, yes, I see it. But in the subtle level, and you're not will reach the absolute agreement. And why you will instead see the agreement, and you will rather see a disagreement, disagree with each other. That is because there are particular, even though you're observing the same objects, right? But the one particular aspect of that very same object seen by you and may not have seen by others, or may experienced by others but not yours. So therefore, this very physical world, in fact, is in the subtle level, in the deep sense, is not the same identical or absolute one sort of thing, and that's readily for everyone. But rather, everyone in the subtle level and in a personal level, and they are experiencing the very world they created by their own karma. Okay? So we see as a practitioner and of this particular teaching, and then by understanding this, so then we can turn it on our practice of loving and loving compassion. So we do this by meditation, right? Meaning that we understand this philosophical point, right? Understand this the reality as the Buddha taught, and then we began our practice of the transformation of a mind, or the purification of our the practice of the purification of a mind by meditation. So the very technique we use in our meditation is loving kindness and the compassion. Loving kindness is that it's the mind that you wish you can bring the joy, the happiness, and satisfaction, and and to others, make others happy and make them feel and joyful. So that's in meditation. You train your mind, embrace this state of mind, and to maintain in this state of mind, and then perfect the state of mind. And so now, the practice of meditation of loving kindness, it will bring the joy to others. Right? But then at the same time, you meditate on the compassion, or in other words, use the meditation of compassion as the means to achieve the purification of your mind. The meditation on compassion here is that the compassion is aimed to free the causes of suffering, the suffering that all beings are enduring or experiencing. So therefore, you meditate on the compassion, and by the means of equalizing yourself with others, and exchange yourself. Okay. So exchange yourself with other and equalize yourself and other. This is the essence of the practice of compassion. Okay. In other words, in your meditation of compassion, and you need to meditate on the key attitude, that is, equalize yourself and other, and then exchange yourself with other. Again, our basic understanding, we do that is based on our own experience. Our own life experience is that we always want to be happy. We always do not want suffering. So this very natural inclination or the tendency is a shared experience of others. So therefore, we not just philosophically, but from our own life experience, empirically, we know, and this is the right thing to do. And so to equalize yourself, understand your condition, then equalize yourself, and in other words, put yourself in others' shoes, right? And then exchange yourself with others. We do this in the meditation, right? And start with sort of imitating the very sort of attitude and or very state of mind by imitating, and then we can develop, right, some kind of strength or power of the aspiration. And then the more we practice, the more we bring ourselves into this very state of a mind, the pure state of a mind, the altruism, the state of altruism, and then the more strength and more power we will develop it. And then eventually we will become this very practice or the attitude and will become very natural. So another side of the philosophical which support us to practice this sacred the Dharma practice, equalizing yourself and other, and exchange yourself with other, is based upon the very philosophical reasoning, is that you are just one person, right? And others are infinite. And your well-being is dependent on others. Like the Shantideva said in the Bodhisattva's Way of Life. So if you want to attain the Buddhahood, for the sake of attaining a Buddhahood, become a perfectly enlightened being, and you must depend on others. And without the taking care of others, or the to dedicate yourself for the benefits of all sentient beings, there's no way you can attain the enlightenment or become a Buddha. So that is very clear. And secondly, as Shantideva pointed out, even in this very imperfect world, in the samsara itself, while you are still subject to the samsara, then even just to get some kind of a temporary the well-being, state of well-being and or happiness in the samsara, you also, in order to achieve the happiness in the samsara, you also have to serve others. And because your happiness, again, is dependent on others. Either way, so in order to attain Buddhahood, we know we must practice the 6 great perfections. Right? 6 great perfections has to be applied to the situations and involved with the other beings. Right? Similarly here, and just for yourself, and in the samsara, your happiness is dependent on others. For example, like your family and your beloved one, your co-workers, and whoever you met with, or you have to do something about, and all of them are, and is equally very important. So for this, again, the practical reason, and then we do need dedicate ourselves in this meditation. The meditation of the equalize yourself and other, and exchange yourself with others.
Oh, yeah.
So the other thing is that, for example, in our day-to-day life, the importance of equalize yourself and other, and exchange yourself with others, and you have plenty of experience that tells you that if you do the things as opposite, for example, you're angry and very agitated. If you're angry and agitated person, so you cannot really have a good relationship with your parents, and or if you are adults and you have children, and or you are married, and if you are agitated person and angry, then you cannot really have a good relationship and keep the family and make your children, your spouse happy and pleased and love to be with you. In fact, even you wish you keep your family together, or you wish you live with your spouse, but because of your temper and you're hateful, and so they will leave you. They will go away. That's because you cannot blame on them. Because that's because our human tendency, then our natural inclination is that we want to be happy. We do not want to experience suffering. Just for that very reason, So they would abandon you, they would leave you and go away to find whoever make them feel happy, make them feel satisfied, or peace and in love. So therefore, we have all the reasons and to practice from a very practical in this very moment and living experience, and all the way to the Buddhist cosmological understanding about our reality. So for all the reasons and a philosophical and empirical experience and a logical reason and whatever. We know that to practice the equalizing yourself and other, exchange yourself with other is very critical.
Oh yeah, that is your son, na.
No one.
Then that down to you tomorrow. After down no shawatan, Janki dingle sigil, Daniel Jan Tawatan, Jan Janam dozen soul shot, Shitan, Rui dingle concheron, taken dollar manjir shitan, Dodi Janli canton gente, or Dotan gente Nyambi, Samuel Tam, Dotan Genchi, Diwa, Yenina Teta, Dawi Jantun, Short songs, Shitan, a molum dunche, Walijan. Kyo nyomo tuji tukpayi magi chongsil changwa kanglagpa ti dag ki semchin nilwayi kangyo rongwa chit long yang hazi rwa namki dingal kang yang rong tekin dag ki tangta lang or jiz jiktin semki chokta dewa yin channi tagta gewa shijir chigisi tawar longzima.
Here we are. Okay, here. Actually, I jumped. Yeah, I jumped. Shantideva says, equalizing yourself and other, then exchange yourself with other, and having seen the faults of self-centeredness and the ocean of good in concern for others, I shall completely give up all selfishness and accustom myself to accepting others. And whoever is keen to give a swift protection to both himself and other should practice the sublime secret of equalizing and exchange self and other. And if you do not equalize, actually exchange your happiness for the sufferings of others, you will not become enlightened, nor find any joy in cyclic existence. And therefore, in order to allay harm to yourself and pacify the pain of others, offer yourself in the service of others and protect them as you would yourself. And whatever the agonies of sentient beings may be, may they all ripen on me alone. The ornament of Great Vehicle Sutra says, finding the mind that equalizes self and other, or values others more, or values others more than self is good. Thus, it is thought that others' welfare is superior to one's own. The 70 prayer says, I would not mind being thrown into any of the hell as a result of the slightest misdeed by sentient beings who are afflicted by poisonous, disturbing emotions. Whatever the agonies of beings may be, I volunteer to accept that all. They always engaging in virtue and be satisfied by supreme happiness. The special verse collect yeah, that's it.
어때? 근데 자당 가지고 일단 직전 통치에서 요되라. 미 파쇼 지금 가지고라. 답이 파쇼들 다독 공개 날에 셰당 공개 날에 그런 지금 강을 지지는 노트 그런 거 지금 마시 공개 날에 되게 아니 파쇼 그 측만 바마로 왔던 투알라 소페 되게 제나 다 소소용 지지와라 되는 알아서 지금 기부 용거 말 등을 정보를 semna makiwi dingachi yongzo dingatela zogumchi matna tele ribi khongru pharang khongru pharang khongru go jang sona raji phashote khongru go nyomo go jang sonja rani nyomo jang sonayna raji nigi chaneta lesang dipasang ta me delena ta thpa jawala soba sokcho wala soba tele yoda mangu yongo timana petelig chini ane dingal dipasang so chedela 결혼 전에 파소대 갑자기 전에 토바이 나라에 어디 등을 저것도 소도 다 저시마 일와 등한 송도 들려서 통으로 그래. 진짜 결혼 캡성 요 말을 거다. 때 맞지 결혼 전에 파소대 있는지 요모원도 송 장도 송데나 딱때 코 장도 도사 데를 삼로 땅에 영마지 딱고 공돌랑한테 코로 기부터 요 말다 있나다 코한테 셈나 가르쳐나 되게 데를 소송이니 조금지 터는 조심지니 파쇼 땡키도 전에 네 지금 전에 같이 저나 파쇼 땡기 르비 이렇게 셔당다 지금 가지고 컨트롤데 디 미시와티 강을 랑카 lokpatin 로텔 르비 셀로 지금 거래 아니 파쇼 그 셈듯이 전에는 그 미게 셈트기도 호텔 다 마파병와 지금 거래 결혼한 게 조바 고미 톱기에니 젠그 때 당능치니 소소그 파쇼 그 장한바도 장하셔들라 조금치니 등은 땅들래 맞잖니 당는지 저 가로지 저땅간에 지금 파쇼크 등을 소소 랭고르즈는 가로 되게 깔래 하고 가는 거 등을 조트면은 미 등을 간들랭가 세 정도로 된지 말은 가지고 등을 렌땅 세대 파쇼 때라 콘트로체 직강을 치고서 때 소소 그 파쇼는 때라 조금지 저나 소소랑 일라 파쇼크 등을 파쇼크 노바테 폭비오 말때 파쇼크 등을 때 르비 셀로 그러 세소나 아니 파쇼크 셈 내기 용서 소소랑 일라 저것도 파쇼티기 미랑진 그 로보 찬로 그런 것이 참 전부 찬로 그러네 대시 그래 아니 니니 소소랑 일라 세델라이나 요다 메와지 요다데 총총때 소소 조금지 되게 셀로 요래 겨시만 남시나 조금지 리워드 판수 좋아요 그래 어때 자다 아니 젠라 동는지 당대 제서 총선 담나 존이 용거래 아니 지 아니 아주 젠지가 젠지 등을 답지 소소 랭 거르잖아 람성 가는 소소 파쇼티 등에 가는 용고인 거야 요 말. 배나 미치 나타 딱고지 내다오나 텔라 저런 거 멤버들 텔라 내비 만직 때와이나 멘트에나 파쇼티 내트 딱 송이나 때 등을 있자와로 등을 딱 자용도 때 내와 동단 말해. 어때 파쇼 등에 소소 서버 렘 말와 렌즈 세수랑의 수 용고야 요 말. 어때 사다 때 삼로 당당로 때 강라 그러면 가시 등을 낸 거서 파쇼고 등을 용지 받 랑이 용 거서면 저 배나 파쇼지 메이션로나 메트 랑 사이즈나 파쇼티 등을 뜻 트렌드오다 나 메트 소소 리람 바고잉 요 말와 어떻게 삼로 당 거랬다
So again, and to make our practice really helpful and productive and being meaningful, we must apply the basic philosophical reasoning and all the teachings, advices given and from by Buddha in the scripts. And on the top of that, the most importantly, and we have to apply those into our very day-to-day experience. Our direct sort of observation and our real experiences of the day. Here's the thing. For instance, like when you or something happened, your experience at the moment of when you see that the very running into the scene or scenario, as soon as you sort of notice that you are at the point and you see something, if your understanding of that very event or the person and your experience is jealousy or some kind of rejection or denial, and in that very moment, right, is very disturbing, right, unpleasant, and is harsh, right, which is of course the suffering. And it depends, right? Suppose if you're the one be able to successfully handle caused by jealousy or anger or any form of rejection, right? If you be able to handle well, then you can reduce the suffering. However, if you fail to handle that very the negative experience of the jealousy or the agitation, and then your anger will arise, will gain more power and become more forceful. So the more your angry become, the more forceful this very destructive emotions and overpower you, and then more sufferings you will experience. Then you will reach the point where you are no longer any a strong sense of rejection, right? And then, so this how your disturbing emotion or afflictive emotions are play a trick on you, and that this very negative experience, right, of the disturbing emotion, which I use example as jealousy or any form of rejection, right, will immediately, right, and take you to take a action or respond to, respond to or react to the various scenario, to the scenario or to the theme upon you have been seen reach the engage in the theme. So that very action you taking, the way you responded is the act that very from that moment until the end of the event, anything you have done, you said, you thought is the process. You are in is the you are on the courses of you are running courses of accumulation, the non-virtuous karma, meaning you are accumulating the negative karmas yourself. And sometimes, people might say, well, I have to respond that way, and because that way, and I can win, okay? And I can achieve something, and I will not lose. So it seems that if you justify your action and responded very negatively, from a world standard and from a very temporary and sort of a benefit point of view, it seems to make sense, right? But in fact, even you win here in this lifetime, but committed, the negative karma that you have accumulated will affect you in the long run. Right? So therefore, if you sort of judge, right, or examine the very consequences of your action, and you want to win temporarily here now, then you compare and to the long-term negative effect you have to go experience in the life after, or many life after this one. In fact, you are actually a loser. You didn't win, but you lose. So therefore, practice patience and have an open-minded, be open, and have a greater open, let your heart be open into it, and accepted what you are running into with a very open mind and with a great tolerance. So then, because you're open mind, your mind is open, and you practice patience, not to be destroyed or stirred with with this very thing. And so the continuation of the peace of your mind will retain. You're able to sustain the peace of your mind, and not experiencing pain. Right? Because you don't have pain, there's no way you experience the anger, right? Or become hateful. No, you can't. But you can continually enjoy the strength of a peace, the happiness that brought to you with this sense of being open to the scenario, and have a patience for that very thing. You see it, or acceptance, kind of immediate acceptance or open to it. So therefore, this practice of patience and the openness of the mind will make yourself in a kind of equal, and in the position where is to the neutral to the situation, and haven't no any negative reactions to it. So thereby, and not you yourself do not have to experience suffering. You make others also able to free from suffering, and rather easily. Why? Because when you open to it, right, and then further you are you be patient to others' side, and who are very agitated and angry. So your openness and your tolerance will serve as kind of a hand, like a taking away the sufferings they experience from them. Okay. So therefore, you are the tolerance that you are being open-minded itself is not only free you and helps you, but also free the others. Now, here's the thing. When we talk about taking the sufferings of others, so how are you taking? Generally, we will say, oh, I can't do it because I have myself and way too much sufferings and stress. And there's no way I can have the extra space in my mind. I just cannot do it. You might think of this way. So if that's your experience, feels very difficult to do so, that's because you fail to understand how to do it and wisely, and how to do it appropriately. Meaning that how to take in the sufferings of others, there's a way you can do it. One of the things like we talked about is be patient. So practice patience, and it has to be based on understanding that all others are suffering and are painful, right? So therefore, you have no reason to aid more, right? But be patient, right? And then open to them, their sufferings. We open to their compassionate understanding. They can have the chance to weakening or eliminating their own suffering, the sufferings and the pain. And then they can be able to calm down and then deal with you or talk to you. So the way to take other suffering has to be practiced correctly and appropriately and wisely. This is like the situation, for example, somebody is sick, very ill, right? You as the doctor, you do not, right? Experientially have that very sick person's pain in your body or physically in you experience the same pain caused by illness of your own patient if you're a doctor. But as a doctor, what you need to do, your way to help that patient is carefully examine the causes of that patient's pain, right, and the disease, and then prescribe the remedy that can most effectively address the causes of that patient's pain. This way, without you experience, you taking physically the pains of the patient, and but you know while you are practicing your professions, right, and examine the patients, see you are not physically experiencing his or her pain, but you open to the situation and then you practice a patient and then apply all your skills, then you free from not you be able to maintain your peace and right and your sense of well-being, and you also at the same time help that sick person able to free from the suffering of the pain, suffering of the illness. So similarly, we can say that in situations like your neighbor's house caught fire, right? As a clever, wise person, and you want to be very helpful, of course, you do not want jumping into the fire yourself and let the fire burn you. And by say, oh, I'm very compassionate, I want taking the other's pain. No, as wise and most skillful, the firefighter or the helper, and you would find the way to put off the fire without burning yourself, actually. So same example, right? The way we take the sufferings or the way we practice the equalizing and ourself and with equalizing ourself and exchange self and also and has to be done as the scripture instructed, not the way we generally thinking, to help others. We ourselves has to be emotionally and suffer.
Oh yeah, 잠깐만 그 저한테는 당시 잠깐만 너가 또 줘. 할머니 이런 거.
And so now that's all for today and due to the time. Do you have questions?
Ja.
공감.
뭐 좀 make 봐.
일단은 지도부 진행되고.
오.
Yeah, he's on. Okay. The question is, so at my end, I understand the importance of practice tolerance and the patient be compassionate and a lot of kindness. However, the thing is, so I'm in the situation, for instance, where the other person, who pay no attention whatsoever. I practice compassion. I try to be a bit kind and be nice, but others pay no attention, and at the same time, actually, they don't respond to my good attitude, my good intention, my good practice. They completely ignore. They give no credit, right? No appreciation. They just go on. So if this happens, taking place on a regular basis, what shall I do? What should I do about it? That's my daughter's question. 아공간디 그게 지속 좋아지리. 리 체크 송노가 샴바닌지 또 로본지아도 정말 팬이 넘은이 개천보다 다천보 시기도 이나 왜 강은들이 왜 수도 쇼네다 또 콘스토도 지니 다천보인 바다 개천보 하고 냠는 지도가 제 안지야지 이나 미 냠는 지사기 미디 바로 우문이 아니 저는 니를 싸워니 도나면 버제 아니 지제 니니나 내 건초 주소 지워대라 뱃대 야매다다 아니 대어 니고 여고 지기도 민딩하나 여고 지소와서 군지 소와서야 이 참라도 뱃대 야매다는 못대 니 좀 말을 비에 되버이나 니 손에 땅에 갈게요
그랬다 계산하지나 샘쯤 미와나 좀 벌어 샘쯤 미와만 좀도 파쇼 때라 스톱 그 강도 지는 가지고 때라 팬토트와이나 때라 못니 팬토트니 파토텔라 소소까지나 파송지나 너보다 냥가 첨보용구나 뜻당 리파 가지고 지금 카트트와 카텔지니다 소소가 리파베 주던 셰르베 주당네 파 타랑즈 소소랑이 송지시다 지버다 땅지나 가지고 파마지급 위트기 나라 파마를 수지도 리 제법부 파마를 다 파마되게 준주인이 세네 드리지 첨보 자용 걸다 이나 알아서 소소 파마가 직든 디 감나 파마 나진 소소라지 같은 게 요마르다 파마 가면인데 줘발로도 그거 몽보로 왔다 베데 파마 어떻게 가정만 가지고 사자 첨보선들 무슬라 아저그 아마지게 토마토송 고 보게 로접드니 아니 딱뭐 코크니 칸닝면 가스칼송 탑도지 담다 사담다 사 통한다면 텐들지게 다 메이크니 샤나네 칸닝면 아니 장나네 레당 듣고면 샘니 큐네 루 듣고면 가르치 와지니 뭐베 샘나 암통 강도 따뜻리로다 따뜻이 고르치게 샘나 레당 마도 파쇼티 카만년도 다 답시 온 따뜻이 요도 같이 지스 요나네 tel라 마가지 같이 만들 마가지 샤지로 같이 답시면 저 지못 와이나 다 소수 파 레당 걸라 레당의 소수 파도 다 그런 데는 정도 랑관 디진 더바티 용나 등아동 좁보인다 데와티 요시 때 마종나다 결혼 아가이 소수 가가지 정네 또 소수는 지야마 또 전 답름 잠바 요 말씀거든 있나 어쨌든 롤렌 로통도 되지 따때 마또 소수 때라 답시 지야 마또 안 소수는 레당 마토나 다 등을 용네 다 대마또 지켜요 말다 근데 미 고치는 아주 미 직든 디감네 땅 아주 기와요 좋아요로 좋아요나 카트는 거리 니마 지금 아주 하정 그 샘타니오 미드 카트송나 또 샘나네 마주베 등을 전부 몽골 용거 때때때 쇼테를 썸노지 땅 거로 홍고 땅 알아도 때때 파쇼텔라데 수수 등을 영다는 파쇼텔라는 팬토요 말 소소라이 노고요 되겠다 때려니게 콜라 파쇼텔라지 파토토하게 만이라 돈 게슴러지 드리지 토와나 소수샘 돌로지 토지야 맞추지고 때때 직등 답름서 소네 나도 밀 셔럽 세주 셔럽 요체 셔럽도 빼줬더니 네급 그 샤와탄 콩탄 걸 때니 셔럽 빼줬던 거래요. 미코르질라페 하천 참보지나 드리 로죠. 또 잠볼라요. 나꼬치고서 샘땅의 셔당 컨트롤링에 맞죠. 소수 파 남기로 다 초도 정말 지금 샘비땅나니 양지 근일랑 초더마도 샘땅니 코 나섬노섬 초유 말다. 어때 남길 때 때용 파쇼 때 지적기니 람란 로지 뭐 든지게 탑르면 요르지 때 진짜다. 너무나 좋지. 다때 니급 그 소수 셔럽 빼줬던 거 소지. 오야.
Okay. Well, essentially, we have to accept one reality or truth. That is, everyone is different. And everyone has their own predispositions, and the dispositions is various from person to person. And then their interest is also different, and their personality is also different. So we must accept this reality. And keep this in mind, say everybody is different, so they have a different desire, different interest, different individuality. And then, so we have to respond according to the situations, respectively or accordingly. So, for instance, like the person you deal with or the situation that you deal with, if there's immense danger or involved with a great harm, then I guess your immediate action is to go away or run away, right? And separate yourself from the situation. So we must use wisdom with our compassion, kindness. So being a compassionate and a kind, loving kindness person, and has to be that very practice has to be guided, sustained, maintained with the practice of the wisdom. When I say the wisdom, for example, a practice of wisdom, for example, like, we have many of us here as parents, right? As a parents, and we love our children, right? Or as someone you fell in love with someone, you definitely will love that person. You have so much affection for that person, right? Especially as parents, when children who will love their children, and that's for sure. That's generally speaking, that's by their nature. They just love their children because that's their own. They cherish them, they love them. But the sad reality is not all children or every single child of their parents would obey, listen, and follow their parents or appreciate their parents' love and accept or appreciate the affections and love their parents have for them. In fact, they will run away and they will do something and actually to make their parents very difficult, very hard. And meaning they will not, instead of taking the good advice, they will do completely opposite thing, exactly the opposite what the parents asked them. For example, recently, one of the mother who approached the Rinpoche, Ade Rinpoche, and tell the story about her dilemma. He says that he reported Rinpoche, he has a 17-year-old son, and he is not coming to home on time, and he's not taking the schoolwork seriously, and he drinks alcohol and uses drugs, and he's doing all kinds of very bad things. And she tried her very best, but he doesn't listen to her. So then he asked Rinpoche, he says, I know and I want to change him, but he would not listen to me. And I also can't give up. What shall I do? Here I'm experiencing a tremendous pain. Okay, I'm very painful. So from this story, you can tell that the situations like that, what you can do, right? Other side will not change, right? And you have so much love for that person, that other side. At the same time, you will not give up. Give up your affection and your sense of love or help. You will not give up. At the same time, you experience the pain. So what you can do then, right? Is there an easy answer? Probably not. If there is one, then maybe, temporarily you separate from that very person until you find the strength, you find a way, and you know how to exactly change the courses of the situation, or you can lead. You can lead the development of the events. Up until that point, you want to keep yourself in peace, have a peace of mind. The only way, or most effective way, immediate way, is create some kind of a boundary, a space between you and that person, and so not to let yourself engage in a deal and has to deal with that personal situation in every single day. So separation and or create a space between you and the situation and the person probably the most immediate, effective method. Having said that, again, this is what I'm saying. So until you find a way, you find the most effective way, you find the solution, then I'm afraid that, if you not make a separation, you do not want to create a space between you and the person and or that situation, and you also do not want to give up your affection to that person and to the situation, and you do not want to experience the suffering either. That seems not possible. Okay, so either you give up, right, for the as a means, you give up as a means, as a method, as a way, to overcome the problem in the long run. So therefore, that separation or the created space between you and the person's situation seems as necessary. We also can put in the long run, this picture sort of in the long context. For example, we're born, right? But one day we will die. So die is the final, the ultimate separation. And so we cannot give up in this kind of a small situation, related to, compared to the death, the final separation of the death. If you cannot make separation, right, create space between you and the person, and just for the sake of a temporary and as a skillful means, right, in order to lower down the tensions or the temperature, then how you can deal with the final separation of death, right? The ultimate space you have to create between you and the person you love very much. Right? When death occurs, you have no choice, but you have to let it go, right? So similarly, and I guess, understand the situation very well and clearly understand what's going on and see whether you can find a way to overcome the problem and fix the problem. If you cannot, as immediate and most effective way is create a space or create some kind of temporary separation, and until you find a way or the solution is available. So in any case, as said before, our practice of loving kindness, compassion has to be guided by the wisdom, has to be sustained by the wisdom. That without that wisdom, we know that we can't go on, we can't go far, right? This is actually true in the more higher level of a Buddhist practice. For instance, like Vajrayana in the Tantric Buddhism, we have this wrathful deities. Wrathful deities is there and to express themselves in or manifest in such a way in a wrathful form. They are not really wrathful. They really not have any anger or the temper, and no, they are the one who free from all this defilements, all this the disturbing emotions. But they're there and to express themselves, reveal themselves in such a way in a wrathful form is as a skillful means in order to subjugate or in order to them and the most stubborn ones, okay? And create some kind of fearful scenario and make the others be a little bit scared, and then to take the advice or and then follow the path. So we can also imitating and this wrathful deities skillful means of compassion. And so in some cases we can express our disappointments and can show that we are very unhappy. But at the same time, as a practitioner of the Bodhisattva as a practice, we must not have any slight anger in our mind. Okay? In our deep down in our mind, we have to have the genuine love, kindness, and compassion. But in the expression level, we can express some kind of disappointment or can show some form of wrath.
아침도 이렇게 동지.
아.
땀 올음도 좋고.
Okay. Now let's say the prayers.
lam zang zhe bin ten jian zhe xi jian se shi me dang me me ce ru gan de yao wi ngao nam dao lam dang zhe wer ma zhe gang zi da ba chou la qi zhou zhi si zhen zhe la zuo ba de yi zi te de na ji da de zhou xi xi yang zuo shou gen kan bian ji Pardon Zawe Lama Rinpoche Dazwe Yengar Pame Tangshi La Gachin Shenpo Guni Jizong Kasong Tuji Nidra Zade So Shangzhe Semcho Rinpoche Marti Wane Jijir Shi Jiawa Nyamba Mepa Gongli Gongde Pewer Shou Gangre Zawe Gurwe Shankang Ze Pandang Dewa Ma Lin Zhongwei Ni Shanri Zhong Tenzin Jiangzu Orde Tangir Ji Yabu Bao Jirtren Qianba Tang Gende Zong Deyang Dezhen De De Da Genji Jise Da Lo Shir Dewa De Da De Ngo Deseng Shangbi Yawa Tamchi Ji Hoa Gangla Chode Ngaba De Da Zhen Ge Zawa De Zong Joshi Ra De Ngo Re Ji Pandi Zhong Ni Danba Da Shang Yi Danzhen Jie Wu Tamchi Geng Geng Zong De Zhen Geng La De Jin Zhong Wei Ye Danba Da De Ye Yer Ji Ce Ru Gen De Yawa Zong Ga Wei Tang Zhou Xin Yin Ni Sen Zhen Bi Wei Gang Bei Lang Zong De Nye Li Ge Qi Zang Yang Dong Ber Ma Ji Re Ji Oh ja, das ist lätt, ja.
Today.